Welcome to the Daily Jam podcast. My name is Jamal Salem. It's great to be back with you on Wednesday evening, the 26th of June, 2026. I just have a few updates to give. First of all, in regards to JAMETRONOME, which is my magnum opus metronome project that I've conceived for a number of years and that I've made a basic prototype in recent months. And just on the weekend, I put a bit of extra time into it on the Sunday night. Stayed up past midnight, had a bit of free time. I spent the day catching up with my 11-year-old friend who has really impressed and inspired me with his entrepreneurial pursuits in mowing lawns. He's started his own lawn mowing, lawn care business, and he has 4 clients already. He's 11 years old, by the way. So just his entrepreneurial drive has really inspired me. And so that evening, I decided to make some progress on JAMETRONOME. And it's really something that I was just dabbling in, mainly because I've been studying computer science and I already have a degree in music and in music performance, particularly jazz performance, from the Australian National University in Canberra. Around a decade ago, I graduated, and my whole life's work is centered around music performance and music education. And so I was thinking of a way that I could combine software with music. And to me, a metronome stood out as something extremely practical and something that I could clearly see how the code could relate to the timing intervals of a metronome. A repeated click at equidistant intervals programmed by a machine. I could see how that could be implemented without relying on too sophisticated of certain technologies. It could be implemented with pretty simple standard libraries. And for that reason, I was not expecting such an overwhelming response at all to the JAMETRONOME. That night, around 2 a.m. before I went to bed, I uploaded it to my website, the latest of the prototype, which, by the way, you can check it out at jamalsalem.com.au/JAMETRONOME. Let me know your thoughts, let me know your feedback. What would you like to see from a metronome app? Let me know. It's all appreciated. I'm compiling all the feedback and requests into a document folder, and I will see what I can do. I'll see what I can implement. And I filmed a little video, a little demo, 2 a.m. on Sunday night. And I basically saved all the files. I got everything ready so that I could upload to social media my little walkthrough demo. And if you follow any of my social media accounts, you'll see that I post videos constantly. Sometimes no views, sometimes 100 views, sometimes like a few thousand maybe. I think the most views I've ever gotten is maybe like 15K, like 15,000 views, which is cool. But I don't really expect any outcome. Again, if you see the amount of videos I've put up like at least 1,000 videos on YouTube alone over the past 5 years. So I really don't expect anything from it other than I'm just seeing what happens through creating content and sharing online. And sometimes some platforms perform better than other platforms, and it's really hard to pick. You never really know. That's why I post so much, because you just don't actually know. It's good to have a strategy, but also sometimes it's good to get rid of all strategy and just see what happens, you know. Life is on a timer of sorts, and I don't mean that in a stressful way. I just mean it as you don't actually know, and sometimes we put things off for tomorrow when tomorrow is never guaranteed. So that's the kind of place I approach things from. And what I was not expecting was on Instagram. So still to this very moment, it's now Wednesday night. I posted it on Monday morning, this video, basically as soon as I woke up. And it's just gone mildly viral. And right now it's at like 47,000 views or 48,000 views and like 3,000 likes. I have like over 100 comments of people giving their recommendations and like their requests for the software, which is really cool. It's sort of like overnight I've become an app developer, like a software company, taking people's feedback and improving the product, giving updates, which I really was not expecting to do, but that is like a logical outcome of what I'm going for. But it's one thing to have a vague idea of things, and it's quite another thing entirely for things to play out a certain way. So now I guess I'm an app developer. Overnight, I'm an app developer now. I develop apps, bro. I'm an app developer. I'm a startup app developer founder company, which is cool. Obviously this is a one-man show. And so, you know, at first I was getting lots of comments, people saying, this is amazing, this is so cool. That's just what I was not expecting, is like how it's blowing people's minds. Because to me, it just made logical sense. Excuse me if my eyes are closing. I am kind of falling asleep, but you know, I've been teaching all afternoon and I just felt like this is the best opportunity. I've got a busy weekend ahead of gigs. It's nearly school holidays, so I get a break from teaching. You just got to push through another week and a half. But if I close my eyes, it's just, must be tired, but part of me is still switched on and energetic. And I just wanted to get this out there before the weekend hits. And I wasn't expecting this. Someone said, I hope this post blows up. And you just kind of, you know, you appreciate it. You appreciate the compliment, but who knows? You can't, sometimes if you try to like attach wanting things to go viral or whatever, it's just like you're setting yourself up for failure. And it just kind of sucks the fun out of things, like attaching outcomes like that to it. Kind of traps you in this way. But so still right now, I guarantee if I opened up Instagram right now, there'll be more likes and more follows from this JAMETRONOME post. And for the first day or so, I think it really hit me like Monday evening, and then Tuesday morning, like I woke up and it was still going off. And I actually, like you'd think the reaction would be like, yay. And obviously, yeah, there is that. That's obvious. Like, yay, it's a hit, success, and like everyone's hugging and crying, you know, like, you know, NASA or like SpaceX does a successful launch and people like celebrate and cheer. But it's funny, my reaction was kind of like when it just wouldn't stop, like a tap that you couldn't turn off. I actually got really nervous, freaked out. It made me really want to hide. I felt really exposed. And that was what I was going through. I felt sick, like sick with nerves at what was happening, because I just had not anticipated anything like that whatsoever. And like I said, the likes, comments, and follows are still pouring in right now. As I speak to you, it's happening right now. But it shows there's clearly this demand for a half-decent metronome that can do some advanced functionalities. And I haven't even tried every metronome app out there. I've tried like 3. I've tried 3 of them. That's why I didn't think of this as such a big deal. I just thought there's probably like 1 million metronome apps out there. I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm just doing my version of it. But I guess that's what's powerful, is that it's a version made by someone who is studying computer science and programming, and who also happens to be a musician of 20 years, a drummer in particular. A master of time, a time master. So I think that's where I've struck a nerve unintentionally, because it is a tool that I would actually use both in my practice and in my teaching. And it's also something I'm fascinated in. I've realized in my 30s that I have a deep fascination with mathematics. And it's one of those things, I do feel it's a bit of a shame that it wasn't tapped into when I was younger. I do have memories of coming home from school in year 3. We were talking about, it was either the 9 times tables, like for the number 9, or for the number 11, the 11s times tables. And I remember coming home and I was just obsessed with the pattern, because you can see patterns with times tables. I think it was for the number 9. And I just kept writing the multiples of 9. So like 9 times 1, 9 times 2, 9 times 3. And I just kept going up to like 9 times 100. So every multiple in between that, you know, double-sided pages, A4 page of just me writing with pen, just fascinated seeing the patterns of the multiples of 9. And it just makes me wonder, like, if only I guess anyone, I'm sure you can relate, everyone has their own kind of feeling with this. If I'd had some kind of encouragement towards mathematics at that age, who knows how I might have turned out in my life. Who knows the person I could have been. But I'm still grateful to have discovered that in my 30s. But, you know, because when I was in high school, so primary school, great marks. I got great grades, got great marks. High school, year 7, yep, good marks. Year 8, yep, kind of faltering. Year 9, just no, don't even think. Forget about it. Forget about it. Don't even mention it. Especially that's around when I started playing drums and I joined a band. We recorded in a studio and we started opening for some pretty significant concerts, and then touring started happening and all that stuff. So school just became this like nuisance for me. And I actually feel bad for the teachers who were trying to get me to do like in-class exams. And I would just, one time I like submitted an in-class exam and all I'd written the entire time, just to make it look like I was writing something, I just drew patterns all over the page because I didn't even know where to start. So I just thought I was dumb, and I had to, you know, I had to like meet with the teacher because this was like a problem. So I just convinced myself I'm like a dumb person, but I have this talent for drumming and music, particularly drumming at that time. And I was just obsessed with music, so I didn't even care about school. But I digress. So where was I going with that? I think, oh yeah, my love for mathematics. Well, my rediscovered love for mathematics and how things could have been. I also just couldn't connect with how mathematics is taught in high school as well. It just did not click with me. And I just don't feel fitted to standard education models. And I feel nowadays in 2026, so this would have been like early 2000s. Yeah, this would have been like 2003, 2004. I just felt like mathematics education, at least standard public mathematics education, doesn't really jive with me. I read stories, history books of great influential humans in history, and often, particularly ones with a classical education, where they're taught ancient Greek and Latin, they often have a tutor. And to me, that's the ideal form of education. I'm not big on classes, but I appreciate the nature of a class. I can work with people in teams, and I think classes are useful to an extent. And I just think nowadays in 2026, there's more awareness around alternative education, that kind of thing, which really would have jived with me back in the day. But here we are. It is what it is. So how did I get here? Anyway, JAMETRONOME has been a way for me to combine the mathematics fascination that I have with also a fascination I have with music, timing, and polyrhythms. So it's been really cool to explore that. I'm looking forward to putting more updates, adding more features to JAMETRONOME, but right now I've just had to manage this overwhelming response. You can check it out on my website. Again, jamalsalem.com.au/JAMETRONOME, JAMETRONOME. Metronome, but with ja at the beginning, like jam metronome. Let me know your feedback, but right now I'm collecting all the user requests, and I will see maybe if I just once a week implement some of the features, because I'm also balancing teaching, I'm also balancing performing, and I also upload content regularly. So I'm keeping my enthusiasm afloat, which brings me to another point. That's part of the motivation behind JAMETRONOME, is to make practice cool again, to make practicing an instrument cool, and to make metronomes cool, because they can seem kind of boring. They can seem like a drag, ironically. But ironic because dragging is a musical term to do with timing. But so I thought this is a cool way to make practicing fun for people, for students, for myself as well. I also need motivation and inspiration to want to practice. So I thought this could be a cool way to get my intellect involved, fascinated with the mathematical potentials, that then gets me playing with my body, gets me rhythmically excited. And another motivation for it is I have this sense that innovators and innovation inspires people. So it's not even about the metronome itself. It's not even about the JAMETRONOME. It's about you, baby. But what I mean is, it's the inspiration that entrepreneurs can bring to society. It's that sense of awe and wonder that entrepreneurs can bring to society, that value that can make people want to be more part of society. It can just make the world a cooler place so that people want to participate. Maybe it inspires people to follow their dream and build whatever thing they've always wanted to build, but never got around to it. So it's also coming from an innovation, entrepreneurial perspective, where it's not about the JAMETRONOME itself. It's about inspiring you. It's about wanting to make this world and to see this world be the coolest thing that it could ever possibly be, because it really can be. And it's really up to us. It's really the energy we put into it and what we choose to focus on. We can focus on the negative stuff, and it's good not to ignore the negative stuff. Still be real, still be aware of what's going on. but also know that we can create the positive stuff as well within us. We're not just subject to the negativity. The light is within us, baby. So it's an attempt to spark your light as well. And that seems to be part of the response that I'm getting, is people just losing their mind for this new thing that didn't exist before. And now I've made it exist. And people getting excited about it. It's not about the thing, it's about their excitement towards life and wanting to cultivate that. So anyway, I just wanted to give an update on the JAMETRONOME on the podcast. And something else I've been thinking about is holding workshops for non-drummers, teaching non-drummers how to drum. Just some basics, just a few different patterns, how to keep steady time, just break some of these myths and barriers around drumming. So I've been thinking about whether to host it like a workshop or compile it like an ebook, or maybe a set of videos, or maybe like a website or an application. I don't know, or maybe all of the above. I don't know yet, but I'd love to know your thoughts on a drumming workshop for non-drummers, whether you're a singer, whether you're a piano player, guitarist, bass player, violinist, whether you're a producer, a songwriter. Just giving you the tools to play drums. Part of my motivation, part of my selfish motivation is I want there to be more drummers in the world, more capable drummers who can play gigs. And sometimes actual drummers are more wanting to play more intense forms of music because the drumming is more interesting, like heavy metal. Because the drumming is objectively more interesting and fun than playing a rock beat, playing like a pop song, or for like a whole evening. But of course, I say that knowing, as a professional drummer, I know it is fun playing a standard rock beat for 3 hours, because it's about the song you're playing, and it's about playing in an ensemble with other people and facilitating that musical situation. So that's, my phone just said battery power 15%, and we will wrap this up shortly. 23 minutes we're talking here. But I'd love to know if you'd be interested in Drums for Non-Drummers. Drums for Non-Drummers by Jamal Salem. I just want there to be more drummers in the world. I also need like people to take gigs, because I can't do every gig. And I don't want to do every gig. I'm getting old. That's why I'm like building software, because my body's getting old. And I'm still relatively young, but I'll get into it another time. I've had an axe, like I've fallen on my back in recent years. I run, funnily enough, with my laptop in my backpack, which somewhat sealed my fate towards being a technologist, being a software developer. But ever since, it's been years since that happened, and it was during COVID times, so people were saying, don't go to the doctors, unless you really need to, all that stuff. So I was just trying not to deal with any kind of medical professional, or like any kind of medical system, you know what I mean? The health system, I was trying to just steer clear of it. And I thought, well, what can you even do for a damaged back? I just have to kind of, what are you going to do? Operate on me? I can't afford that. So I actually do get back issues now from drumming, but it's not because of my posture and technique. It's because I actually had a fall. I sound like an old man. I had a fall, and my back hurts. But my whole point is, that's why I want to train more drummers, because I'm tired of there not being enough drummers for people. And people hit me up all the time. Hey, if you know a drummer that would be keen, or if you're free, or if you know a drummer, one of your students. And it's like, I don't know, I teach a lot of students that I don't try to push them into live performance because it is like a whole thing. It is kind of like an underworld of its own. It's a beautiful underworld, but you know, I've been through some rough periods there. I've been through some rough times, and so part of me, I'm like a parent wanting to protect their children. Part of me wants to just protect them from potential trauma, and it's only if one of my students really expresses desire to do gigs that I will push them into those situations. But oftentimes they'll find themselves in their situations. They don't need me to push them into it because they'll just end up getting gigs and they're doing the thing, which is really cool. But that's my whole point, is just training more drummers. So again, whether you're a piano player, drummer, so no drummers allowed unless you want to learn how to play gigs and not just play blast beats, then you are welcome, drummers. But more so guitarists, piano players, songwriters, producers, bass players. If you'd like to learn some drums, send me a message, send me an email, music@jamalsalem.com.au, or you can also email me at jamalsalemdrums@gmail.com. You can head to my website, jamalsalem.com.au. There's contact information there. Send me a contact inquiry. Or you can find me on social media at Jamal Salem Music. Let me know if that entices you, if that interests you. Let me know your feedback for JAMETRONOME as well. And I better wrap it up there. But thanks so much for checking out the Daily Jam. This has been the latest update, and I look forward to updating you again soon. I wish you all the best out there, and I send you all the love in the world. Peace out, baby. Peace.